Hello and welcome to the Battle of Central Europe number 3. We're going to have a best of 2 between Lions and AlbumSheet ahead of us. I'm Grandis Fee and I'm going to be joined by Mike Loris on this HeflaTV presentation of this tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be the first game of the entire tournament. I think the other channel that is supposed to be doing their respective games at the same time hasn't even launched yet, so you guys are in the right place, and hopefully the game is going to flow smoothly. It's not quite yet ticketed, so all of that flashing, Meepo, buy the ticket stuff isn't really applicable just yet, but I'm sure that will come a little bit later. Regardless, it should be a very good game, as both these two teams, I would say, are fairly evenly matched with each other. I think Lions probably get maybe a little bit too much credit, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like AlbumSheet could definitely take him down.
Yeah, I think that Lions are definitely unstable when it comes to their gameplay. On a good day, they can take games off of some really nice teams, but on a bad day, they can lose to teams that on paper are a lot worse than them. So I think that AlbumSheet, although they're maybe not as highly praised as Lions, I think they're more stable, and both of these teams should be fairly evenly matched. As for this first game, AlbumSheet chose Radiant side, Lions chose to get second pick, and then that'll be switched for game number 2. So the early bans have already come out, with the Wisp and Brewmaster banned out by Lions, and Enigma Faceless Void taken out by AlbumSheet.
It is rather peculiar to see an Enigma banned out this early. Usually he's let through because he's not really a threatening hero. He has a lot of play around, but Lions, I mean, I guess they just want to go for something a little bit different. They let the Death Prophet through, which in and of itself is an extremely dangerous move, being, I would say, still one of the strongest heroes in the game. And then they decide to pick up an Elder Titan in the second pick. Usually you can get him, but this is going to let AlbumSheet pick pretty much whatever they want, and what they want is the Ogre Magi.
Yeah, Elder Titan's a hero that's been seeing quite a lot more play as of late, and I definitely think he deserves a little bit higher praise in the draft, but it is interesting to see him passed up in lieu of like your Skywrath Mage and your Ogre Magi. Just some of those other solid supports. I think that's how Elder Titan's going to be played in this game by Lions, as Tidehunter's presumably going towards the offlane, although it is always possible that both of these are going to be solo laners, one going towards mid and the other towards offlane.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair assumption up to this point. AlbumSheet, they seem to have a pretty good read on Lions right now. Taking out the Enigma, as I already said, very weird. Now taking out the Shadow Demon, potentially preparing themselves for, or expecting a Mirana pickup somewhere down the line for Lions, as those two heroes are very rarely seen. You don't really get that much setup with what Lions have right now. I suppose setting up for an Echo Stomp is the dream, and it actually does work decently, but is it worth setting up for? Is it worth taking one of your precious bans in order to make sure that doesn't happen? I don't know. AlbumSheet, they don't really have anything that's completely shut down by a disruption either. So yeah, I feel like Lions bans makes a little bit more sense, although their picks maybe not as much. So kind of weird stuff going on there.
Yeah, I definitely can see where you're coming from here. As for both teams, Lions are probably down to support, as are AlbumSheet. The Skywrath Mage already taken out would have fit nicely on either side, and maybe the Mirana is still on the table for Lions, although without the Shadow Demon setup, maybe it is a little bit less attractive. The Storm Spirit ban coming out from AlbumSheet is fairly peculiar. They already have a Silence and a Stun in order to deal with the Storm Spirit, and there's still plenty of picks in order to handle that hero, but maybe AlbumSheet are looking to more heavily invest into split-pushing heroes like a Nature's Prophet, or maybe even a Tinker.
Yeah, or maybe they just want to take a Batrider and have 100% complete control of the initiation. I mean, they already do have the Death Prophet, so you could kind of build around her and getting initiation, getting additional stuns in order to mostly just keep the Death Prophet safe, as Storm Spirit is one of those heroes that it's hard to lock him down because you need a hell of a lot of map vision, and at a certain point you just can't do it. Lions pick up a Keeper of the Light, so it's probably going to be a Medusa 4th, I want to say, for Lions. It's the combo, and it fits pretty much right into the Lions game plan, which is protect Era, make sure he has all the space in the world. I guess Elder Titan kind of fits into that with Echo Stomp as well as Natural Order. Generally, it's very useful for a carry to benefit from those two skills.
Yeah. For now, it's going to be Rubik for AlbumSheet, a fairly standard support and a nice one for them. Being able to steal the Ravage is currently the flashiest spell and probably the best one on the table. Elder Titan and Keeper of Light, although they're kind of nice to have, aren't the best to get the spells. As for Lions, it's going to be an Anti-Mage instead. If they went for Medusa, I would have suggested that as the carry of choice for AlbumSheet, but somehow Razor has managed to weasel his way towards this stage in the picking stage, and AlbumSheet will snag him up, presumably as their safe lane carry.
So this Keeper of the Light is mostly going to be for laning purposes for Lions. I've seen a team do this with Keeper of the Light Abaddon. That was very sketchy, and I couldn't believe that it worked at the time, but it did. I'm expecting now to see a Keeper of the Light go with Elder Titan in some sort of dual lane. I mean, it's not the most stable of combos, but are you really just going to pick Keeper of the Light just to babysit Anti-Mage? Keeper of the Light can't really do anything to protect the AM. I would say it's kind of a lot of wasted potential in that situation, especially with AlbumSheet packing so many dangerous heroes versus that Anti-Mage. Rubik, Ogre Magi, both with stuns. And then if you have Razor starting to drain some damage with the Plasma Field, things can get very bad for either the Anti-Mage or Keeper of the Light, depending on whether or not AlbumSheet want to lane those three heroes aggressively, which right now I don't see why they shouldn't.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Right now, Lions, although they have some decent synergy together, their lanes up against AlbumSheet are going to be pretty sketchy, especially if you're going to be seeing either the Tidehunter or Elder Titan in the mid lane up against a Death Prophet and Razor. It's just not a matchup that they can do well in, although generally are fairly sufficient 1v1 laners up against a Razor. Tidehunter just can't do anything. And I do expect dual lanes coming out from Lions, potentially one more support for them that will be babysitting that Anti-Mage.
Yeah, up to Lions for the most part. It's going to be a Magnus ban, and Puck is the pick for Lions. So, well, I said I was expecting a Keeper of the Light Elder Titan as a dual lane. Maybe not as much anymore, as they're most likely both going to play it as supports. It does work decently, just spamming out Astral Spirit, and situationally you can put out some serious damage with that. Is it the best combo for protecting an Anti-Mage? Probably not, because they don't have any crowd control effects. They have a hell of a lot of damage, I mean, that's for sure, but damage can only go so far to protect your Anti-Mage without some sort of peeling, and right now, AlbumSheet, they have quite a lot of bulk on their heroes, with Rubik being the main exception.
Yeah, definitely, and even the Rubik offering the null field for his team is going to be really nice, especially up against the Elder Titan. That bonus magic resist is going to get a lot of traction. Usually it's not as impactful, but this game I'd like to see Rubik invest fairly heavily onto it early on. As for AlbumSheet's last hero, it's going to be a Klinks.
They see the fact that Lions have only one real threatening disable in the Puck Silence, and Klinks could, for the most part, deal with that. The burst from Lions is very high if they manage to set up properly on that Klinks, but other than that, I don't see a great way for Lions to kill Klinks off, unless Klinks puts himself voluntarily into a poor situation or something along those lines. Puck Initiation or Blink Ravage out of nowhere is going to be the only ways of dealing with that hero. And those are pretty good ways of dealing with Klinks, like, to be fair, but you generally want to have a couple more disables or initiating tools than what Lions currently have. But regardless, who do you think has a better lineup here?
I'm tending to favor AlbumSheet. I think they just have a lot more control, and their lanes seem to be a little bit more solid.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. AlbumSheet, probably like 60-40-ish. Lions, the Keeper of the Light and Elder Titan combo, not entirely convinced on that just yet, but we'll see how it works as they do load out into their lanes. We got Bland leading the way for Lions. He's going to be playing that ET. Jonathan Fan is going to be on the Tidehunter. Most likely will be heading down bot. Quicks is on the Puck. Solon is on the Keeper of the Light, and that leaves Ira on the Anti-Mage.
And on the Radiant side, we're going to have AlbumSheet with Afterlife leading the charge on the Razor, followed by an Ogre Jai, played by No Fear. Death Prophet currently in the mid lane, played by Chomi. Klinks sitting in the base, played by Aloha Dance, and Rubik down towards bottom, played by Sunlight. Looks like AlbumSheet are setting up for a dual lane.
Very quickly, this is Lux, right?
This is Lux.
Yeah, so
30 seconds to showtime.
Let's just make sure all of this is clear to the players. If we have some lag and Lux is not cooperating, who knows? But yeah, it is going to be just Klinks down the bottom lane, and you mentioned before that Tidehunter can't really do anything versus Razor. Doing anything versus Klinks is just as difficult. Maybe a little bit more so, maybe a little bit less so, but I expect Aloha Dance to walk all over this lane, especially if Sunlight's here. Honestly, I don't think the Rubik should even bother with this lane. He's not really going to do too much to shut down this Tidehunter that the Klinks can't already do.
Yeah, I would have liked to see them throw this Rubik up towards top. I think just having that extra disable the chain with No Fear would have been a little bit more beneficial than having him running pulls for the Klinks. That said, the lanes are going to be a little bit peculiar as Lions throw Era in the mid up against the Death Prophet. Anti-Mage shouldn't have a great time in this lane, although he is holding on to a bucket load of regen as well as the start towards the Poor Man's Shield, which will help his early laning phase, but I don't think it's going to remedy that entirely. The lane up top for Lions, it's going to be a Puck, Coddle, and Elder Titan tri-lane.
Can't say I've seen that before, but I guess it does get a little bit better for the Keeper of the Light here in this situation, as he will have more heroes to funnel mana into so that they could spam their skills. Puck's skills aren't the highest, they don't have the highest damage, but they're decent enough, especially when you combine them with occasional illuminates, such as right now hitting squarely onto No Fear and Afterlife, chunking them down by quite a large margin. At this point, I don't know if the Rubik would help that much up here. I mean, they could certainly go for kills on Quicks, but this puck is going to be very difficult to lock down. I would still say it's worthwhile for Sunlight to rotate up here, but it's maybe a little bit less necessary now that Afterlife is not going to get as much.
Yeah, still under tower, the puck's finding a decent amount of farm as well as levels, and the Razor and Ogre aren't accomplishing much on their own, but Clinks is having pretty much a free time down in bottom, and mid as expected. Death Prophet's having a good time. We haven't seen the entirety of the laning phase unravel, but I expect this to maintain the status quo, where Tommy's just able to spam down the wave, and Eric can't really do much about it.
Yeah, the Anti-Mage does have a Poor Man shield very early on, loaded out with one Slipper and the Stout shield, so he was able to pick that one up for himself, and Tommy's right clicks, though they do hurt, are going to be constantly mitigated. So Ira is decently tanky versus this Death Prophet. Still surviving versus Death Prophet and actually doing well in lane are two very separate things, as Death Prophet with so much damage is going to be, for the most part, taking advantage in this lane. Right now it's even, but I expect to see the Death Prophet accelerate her farm while Ira is constantly taking this chip damage. He is already starting to run pretty low on regeneration.
Yeah, definitely, and Anti-Mage, he is going to send himself another set of tangos. He doesn't want to commit towards the bottle. I'm interested to see what Anti-Mage's build is going to end up being this game. As generally he's not lane in mid, I think he's probably just going to go towards the normal Battle Fury, but at the current farming rate, I'm not sure he's going to be able to get it fast enough. However, he does find himself a nice regeneration rune to remedy the fact that he's out of regen.
What a lucky man, Ira. He's going to be very happy about that one. Now up to 6 tangos. He really needed that rune, or a bottle, or something, as he's not going to have a good time, as he said, versus the Death Prophet. And yeah, Anti-Mage, you could see him mid occasionally, but I think most often he will be put mid when you know the enemy is also going to be melee. Maybe if you see someone like Lycanthrope on the other end, then you could safely expect him to be played mid. Or if you can safely expect him to be played mid, then Anti-Mage is a great counter in that regard. It's a mediocre counter, or an Ember Spirit, something like that, but versus a Death Prophet, it seems awfully greedy for Lions. It is securing farm for Quicks, and a quick puck Blink Dagger can swing the game, but can he actually get that one fast enough? Afterlife is still feeling pretty aggressive, or pretty comfortable in this lane in order to go aggressive as Razor. I mean, he can do this because he's Razor, and he has a very tanky support hero right behind him.
Yeah, definitely. Afterlife's not CSing that well, but it's definitely working out for AlbumSheet this early laning phase. 19-6 on their Clink, 17-6 on their Death Prophet. They're pretty much getting farm on 3 heroes. While the Razor is a little bit behind, he's getting his levels as well. So that's pretty much all you can ask for. Everybody's getting something out of these early lanes. Tidehunter is level 3, which is nice for him, but he'd love to have a little bit of farm towards his own Blink Dagger. Currently lifted up by Sunlight and thrown back. Just a little bit of traded hits either way.
Clinks really can't help out too much in killing off the Tidehunter unless the Tide is, or unless the Clinks is literally right on top of the Tidehunter, in which case you have to deal with Anchor Smash, and things are probably not going to be as fun. So Sunlight is probably just going to be minorly poking the Tidehunter. Now with the Haste Rune, Sunlight's got to get the hell out of there. But Aloha Dance, I don't expect him to really help out anywhere for a good portion of this game. He's holding on to quite a bit of gold. I think this might be a Midas build for the Clinks. If you're getting complete free farm like this, you might as well go for Midas. They're going for Quicks up on top lane instead. Ignite has already been used, and that's going to be the death of the Puck. Puck really should not be dying just to these 2 heroes, but Ignite does do quite a bit of damage if it lands.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Puck to die either. It looks like he just got a little too comfortable. Got a really long stack link coming out from Afterlife to secure that first blood for them. Overjai getting that extra gold is going to be really nice, giving the early bottle as well as career upgrade for their team. And, I don't know, the Puck needs to be very careful to make sure that doesn't happen again. Currently with Boots and Bottle, that's pretty nice farm for a Puck, but it's going to start slowing down if Afterlife's able to keep up this aggression, which right now he is.
They've actually made a rotation. They're going to swap the roles of Puck and Anti-Mage. Now that bottom lane Aloha Dance is going to start laying into Lajons and Fan. Levitate has already been used at 19 health. Not going to save the Tidehunter from one more Searing Arrows. Those do quite a bit of damage, plus 50. That plus 50 is not mitigated by any sort of Anchor Smash damage, so that'll always go through. But anyway, they switched the Puck and the Anti-Mage's roles. After the Anti-Mage has picked up the Ring of Health, this is probably going to be perfectly fine for the Anti-Mage, but this is a level 4 Puck versus a level 6 Death Prophet. And Puck already didn't have the best matchup here, so really Quicks is not going to have a fun time in this game, even though he started out okay.
Yeah, definitely. Illuminate spam is going to be annoying for Afterlife, and this laning situation for Anti-Mage is going to be nice, although the early slow start is not going to be benefiting Lions by any means. There are a couple of complaints about stream quality, and hopefully that's not extending to more than just a couple of viewers, but hopefully that subsides. It looks like it's fine on my end at the very least. So yeah, we're in for a fairly passive early game. Outside of those 2 kills on either of the side lanes, I don't expect much more to be happening until we see Blink Daggers or some sort of item progression on anybody.
Yeah, if Lions play safe, which they should with an Anti-Mage pick, then they should be able to keep themselves alive for the most part. No Fear Afterlife are definitely capable of getting kills, assuming someone is caught out of position. Most likely the Keeper of the Light, although to a lesser extent the Elder Titan. Though he is pretty tanky, he is definitely not invulnerable versus the amount of physical damage that Razor can put out. And No Fear Afterlife, they're actually playing pretty close to Bland and Solon, and they actually might get jumped right now. Anti-Mage in the area. No, it's going to be Solon who got way too close, and now the beatdown onto that Keeper of the Light is going to bring him down. Afterlife might get popped by a Mana Void here, although I think he will survive it even if he does get hit with it. Ira, does he want to go for this kill? No, they're going to throw the Spirit off. Now they're going to change their mind and try to go for No Fear. He's going to lose all of his mana. Now the Mana Void will not pop him. Only 169 damage. Even with that aura, didn't really do too much, and everyone's going to walk away alive for AlbumSheet on the top lane. Keeper of the Light, not as lucky. You can't afford to get anywhere close to these 2 heroes as a coddle.
Yeah, definitely not. AlbumSheet starting out 3-0 as well as pretty much a free farm Clinks. He decides to go away from the Midas, picking up his power treads and potentially going into an Orchid next. I think it's okay as long as Aloha Dance is prepared to play very aggressively early on. I think the Midas choice definitely has its merits. We'll see how he wants to play. Afterlife is going to be hit by an Illuminate up top. Inside the fog, Keeper of the Light's able to get that off pretty reliably without the enemy knowing it's going on since the sound doesn't play for them. So Afterlife needs to be careful to not drop too low. But with the Ring of Regen as well, potentially towards the Mechanism, he should be just fine. A very short link towards Era. It doesn't steal any damage.
Yeah, I think Aloha Dance, after these power treads, it usually is, and in this game it definitely should be, an Orchid build up against an Anti-Mage and a Puck, and to a lesser extent even Tidehunter. You can deny him a Ravage for however long, slap in silence on him and then completely ignore him is going to be so beneficial for AlbumSheet. And, you know, they can get Orchid on some of their heroes that they have, but it's more likely going to be the Clinks than anyone else, and in this game it just gets super value, especially up against a Puck. Jonas Van, no, he's not going to get lifted up onto the hill. I think Sunlight probably could have at least tried to go for that, but now actually it is going to be a Hand of Midas for Aloha Dance, so best of both worlds perhaps. Solon up on top lane is going to be chased down by a hasted Chomi. Solon's not that tanky, and really you can't escape from a Death Prophet either way. Echo Stomp is going to land. Ira is going to put a little bit of mana drain into this Death Prophet, but certainly not enough. 4-0 now in favor of AlbumSheet. Chomi makes his first rotation with the Haste Rune versus the Keeper of the Light. That one pretty much runs itself.
Yeah, definitely. Elder Titan also going to need a nuke as Blink Away will keep Era safe. But this lane is just not very favorable for Lions. Although Era is able to maintain his farm, he does have power treads down on top of his Ring of Health. I think that the Clinks could have gotten away with that Midas before finishing off the power treads. But either way, it's not going to matter. He'll have a Midas at a decent timing anyway. At about 9 minutes after PTs, it's free farm heaven.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a fast Midas, just it could have been a faster Midas. And when you're talking about the Hand of Midas in general, the faster you get it, obviously, the better off it'll be. Minor differences. Of course, I don't really think it's going to matter that much in the grand scheme of things, given that AlbumSheet are in such a great position right now. But, you know, maybe if they let this game extend for too long, then maybe the Clinks is going to wish he had that Orchid, you know, a couple minutes earlier. It might have been an impact. But either way, and we see No Fear getting chased down by Ira. Ira, I mean, he can't afford to do this because he's not going to die, but he really needs to just be getting more farm. He is lasting pretty decently. I mean, 45 CS, 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes into the game is pretty good. He's got the power treads. He's working on the battle theory. It's about where you want to be as Anti-Mage. The problem is that Death Prophet and Clinks are just getting just a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's going to maintain the case. Tidehunter shows his face in lane, forced to salve up after eating one too many searing arrows. And Afterlife is able to continuously farm as well, working towards that mechanism. Does have enough money to buy either the recipe or the completed buckler, but Afterlife's going to have that at a pretty good time, and I think AlbumSheet, they're just getting the better trade. We are going to see a jump. They find themselves the Tidehunter after being lift back. Aloha Dance trying to chase him down. Fade, but one more attack. It's going to be enough as they barely kill off the Tidehunter. Elder Titan in the meantime up towards top lane is chased down by No Fear as well as Afterlife.
Yeah, just easy Fire Blast Ignite into Static Link Walkdown, or maybe they didn't even need it. I guess Static Link's still available. So Lions just losing heroes left and right. The Clinks is, as predicted, running the bottom lane versus the Tidehunter. There's nothing you can do about that. Elder Titan, he does have the boots, which is, I guess, nice for him, but versus the Razor with power treads, you need to be able to outrun him or blink out, as Era will be able to do consistently. Everyone else on Lions, with the exception of Puck, won't be as lucky, so AlbumSheet, they did run these dual lanes, and though the bottom lane, Rubik, I still maintain, would probably be a little more helpful up on top, they're doing decently fine up on top lane. I mean, they're not completely shutting down Era, but they're certainly slowing him down, as whenever Era gets close, he is static linked up, and even if you lose just 20 damage, you can't really afford to trade hits with a Razor, and you can't really afford to sit on the creep wave and last it, because, well, Razor's just going to put that much more damage into you, so it's a no-good situation for Era, and it's really not great for Lions in general because of that. Era is the centerpiece of their game plan.
Yeah, definitely. Klinks also backs off for a Soul Ring, so his Orchid is going to be fairly delayed if he does decide to go for that item. Maybe he just goes for a straight-up BKB, although I'm not a super huge fan of that choice. It is fairly necessary up against Lions, if for nothing else, just for the Ravage.
Yeah, or just go for a Blink Dagger. I mean, that's pretty good as well. If you're going to be jumping on the likes of Keeper or Elder Titan, you can just bring them down by yourself. It's another way to go.
Yeah, definitely. Up and top, Afterlife's going to put a little bit of Mana Burn hurt into Afterlife as well as No Fear, but then ends up eating a Plasma Field of his own. Keeper of Light as well as Bland are on the back lines of this top lane and are looking for a little bit of wraparound. They find a drop onto Razors. He's going to be taking a little bit of a snooze, eats an Illuminate as well, but that's about the sum of the damage that they're able to put out. This combo really isn't that scary as far as lockdown and actual killing potential is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, they will be able to put more damage onto heroes once they get more levels with that combination, but that's about the extent of it. You hit them with one nuke, and if they aren't pretty much dead by then you're most likely not going to be getting that kill. They need a Ravage or a Dream Coil or something, and speaking of, now that Puck has a Blink Dagger, or has purchased a Blink Dagger rather, he will be able to jump in and land those coils. I don't think we've seen a single rotation from Quicks, aside from, top to mid, but now that he has his Blink Dagger, it's go time for the Puck, because his other lanes desperately need his help, and Era was once again going to get static linked. He does have the Blink, it's keeping him safe, but it's really not costing AlbumSheet much to do this.
Yeah, 50 mana from the Razor, a little bit of mana from the Ogre Magi. They can continue this up pretty much for the entire game. And although it's not stopping his farm, 62 CS at 12 minutes in, when you compare it to the 94 of the Klinks, just isn't that great. Razor's also going to jump onto the Midas train for AlbumSheet. After an early start, they're going to be content just playing passively. It is just a solo anti-mage, and a Razor Klinks, I think they can handle him in the late game, especially when they're backed up by DP. We are going to see a jump onto the Klinks, Ravage committed, as well as Dreamcoil onto a low hat dance. They are going to be able to bash him down, as they did have Dust on the Tidehunter, so Lions finding a much-needed pick-off onto Klinks.
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all a kill for Lions in general, which is certainly very nice for them to get on the board. Then it's a pick off on the most farmed hero on the enemy map. They can be nothing but happy about that. Showing off the Blink Dagger is pretty much ideal. Chomi, though, is going to find a lift up onto Solon, and Keeper of the Light, oh, he's going to buy himself a little bit of space with that flash, but Chomi's still giving chase, and the Spears are still eating at him. Solon barely going to slip away, as he did manage to juke out Chomi from the Fog of War. Exorcism, for the most part, wasted. I mean, its goal was to kill the tower, it didn't do that. Then its secondary goal was to kill the Keeper, it didn't do that either. So it's unfortunately the first use of Exorcism and the Yule Scepter, not really doing much for Chomi.
Yeah, it's also level 11 Exorcism. That definitely could have been a tower if he went to anywhere else. Stomp going up on top onto No Fear, not really going to be anything traded, but Chomi hasn't really made a huge move either way. Still, the items are coming out from AlbumSheet, and both teams, although they have a Blink Dagger on the Puck, Lions are also not inclined to be playing that aggressively, and I think the pace of the game is going to maintain itself. It seems that we're still working with a little bit of lag coming on from both teams. Hopefully that subsides. I'll check that. Yeah, it's not great, actually. Era's running with quite a bit of lag.
Yeah, it's, I guess unfortunate. It would have been better if they just told us straight from the beginning when they said there was lag that they needed to remake or something like that, but yeah, I guess we're just doomed to sit here. Worst case scenario, we load, but I don't think this is the type of issue that you need to load from. Holy crap, that's bad.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it is Lux server. It has been having some issues as of late, though, so hopefully nothing too bad.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think, a couple days ago, like 3 or 4 days ago. I don't know if it's fixed. I don't regularly play on the Lux servers, but I'm assuming they should be fine in general, maybe in a couple seconds. We'll just assume that everything is going to be fine after a short break. And in the meantime, we could look at the state of this game just a little bit more. As far as itemization is concerned, we do see AlbumSheet, as you said, running with 2 hands of Midas. I don't think they should be going for any more. That's a Soul Ring recipe on Ogre, not a Midas recipe. And they are more than content to take this to the late game with the advantage that they have now, which is, upwards of 5,000, 4,000 plus experience. Going for these Midases, though up against an anti-mage, is certainly a little bit risky. On the Razor and Clinks, these are heroes that can deal with anti-mage in their own respective ways.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's a fair choice coming out from them. Honestly, I have no idea what's wrong with her. He's looking for a reconnect, and hopefully that fixes everything. I'm not sure exactly what the rules are about pauses and what have you. But, oh dear.
Guys, we broke Dota.
Dota is broken.
The curse. The curse
it really
is here,
is.
even on hitbox.
Okay, so yeah, let's not perpetuate that. Let's stop the curse right now.
I mean, I would love to, but clearly it's out of my control.
Clearly, oh my goodness. Yeah, the Dota 2 game coordinator is going down. Hopefully Eric can get back in and we don't have like some mega delays.
Well, I mean, okay, guys, so here's what's going on today. We have 3 best of 2s. 2 of them are with Lions, and Lions do typically end up in longer games, at least if all goes according to plan. They like to end up in longer games. So already we were in for a pretty long day. Now we're in for a very long day with pause screens. So that's exciting. That's fun.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Screens.
I suppose I can look at the chat, but since we're on Hitbox, the chat isn't very lively.
Yeah, we're unfortunately missing the Kappas and the Frankers.
I mean, somebody attempted a fail fish.
I mean, you could even just write it in the chat and everyone would know. Oh, it's also actually bad for the other game. House of Gamers versus Commanda.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a everyone problem, not just an us problem, which is good. That means we didn't mess anything up.
Oh, I sure hope not.
No, I'm telling you, everything is fine because we have deniability. It's not our fault.
What in the world? Oh, I'm just looking at like the hitbox emotes. They're quite something.
Something good or
something.
Green.
And then they have like the Rage Comics faces as well. That's always a blast.
They have random sushi. I like that one. And the scumbag hat.
Easy.
It's amazing how much value Twitch have created for themselves just with a couple of pictures of staff members and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
It definitely is. Like, it's... yeah. Something. GG Volvo. Well, 2 minutes in the future, we're still waiting for pauses, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems that it is everybody. Like, yeah, I play with a stack on Luxembourg, and so they're complaining about it too.
Yeah, guys, so it's not just us. But yeah, anyway, if you type in like Frankers or Kappa or Failfish, at this point, like especially for us, like maybe not for everyone, but for us, like we understand the sentiment behind those icons, and that's like crazy to think about. Like it's differentiation that if you pitch that to like an investment banker or whatever, they'll just laugh you out. But it happened. It's freaking awesome, man. Marketing.
Yeah. Quite something. I do like the hitbox dashboard better, though.
Oh, the dashboard is sweet, man.
Yeah, I love it. Except for mine is all red and yellow because it can't find my bit rates. I don't know why.
I think mine was also that color when I went live to test. Might
Yeah.
just be like a live color,
No,
or
it's
maybe we're talking
supposed to
about
be
different
green.
things.
Okay, so it was green the other day when I was testing it, and now it says my bitrate's unknown, so it's complaining to me.
So you're saying it is your fault?
It is my fault because it can't understand my computer. I don't know. I
Classic.
didn't change anything from yesterday to today, and the stream looks nice. I have the little
Oh no, the stream
window.
is fine.
Yeah.
The one person who is saying that it wasn't is only one person who is saying that it wasn't, so not good enough.
Alright. Alright, so we're gonna try going.
Volvo, don't mess this up for us, Volvo. Anyway, bottom lane, Aloha Dance with level 4 Searing Arrows, no strafe needed. He should be able to take down his tower. Left at 1 HP, that was a little unlucky. Now Klink's gonna start going into the Tidehunter. He's gonna go deep, actually. Aloha Dance knows that the enemy has no Ravage. He's just gonna put a couple more Searing Arrows. Tidehunter actually turning around. That could have costed him his life, but Aloha Dance didn't expect that. Neither did I, really. Quick's now gonna try to duel Aloha Dance. That's not a good thing to happen. Quick's might go down. No, he's gonna do short orb jump away, and he will also survive. But those are two heroes going into Aloha Dance that, they have really no chance of even competing with him in survival. I mean, that was just not close at all.
Yeah, although Klinks is a fairly low HP hero, when he has that ultimate up, you actually can't fight him, without a Ravage especially, and they commit quite a bit from the puck in order to go for that. Anti-Mage up top eats quite a bit of damage coming out from the Razor as well as the Ogre Magi, but I think he's going to be completely fine. Still has a Blink available.
And Chomi with yet another haste rune is hunting for this Keeper of the Light, even going behind the tier 1 tower. Will not find the prey, but it will be enough to make sure the Keeper of the Light plays extremely cautiously over in this mid lane. And Death Prophet, she doesn't have an exorcism yet, another 20 seconds until that one is up. But once that happens, she's going to try to make another play for this tower. And if all goes well, then it should be a very easy destruction, especially with Klinks. No, he's not in the mid lane yet, although he could be. He's instead going for the top lane tower. So very quickly, it's going to be 2 towers plus a 5-kill lead for AlbumSheet. Really cannot be going any better for them outside of winning the game by now, but I don't think that's really realistic. I mean, 2 Midases and being this far ahead is almost unheard of.
Yeah, Midas is a great item to catch up into the game, and when you're already ahead, it's kind of just insurance. They've been able to get away with it without Lions doing anything. Not because they don't want to punish these Midases, but probably because they can't. Tidehunter, when he has Ravage, can go for kills, but he hasn't been able to find any openings and still saving up for that Blink Dagger. Currently, the Klinks is going to be the one running the map. 3,200 gold onto Aloha Dance. That Orchid's going to be soon incoming, and he might not even need it to kill off Bland. As Bland is going to be able to get a stomp off, but he's just too squishy. Jumping from kicks. He's going to be able to lose to her, presumably, but Silence comes out from the Death Prophet, beautifully comboed, and Aloha Dance secures himself a double kill, and now another tier 1 tower going the way of AlbumSheet.
Oh man, and a Desolator from Aloha Dance. I
love
mean, it's
it.
something you can do now that Searing Arrows aren't considered those unique attack modifiers, but shit, I mean, I guess if you're going for this amount of push, if you get an Aghanim Scepter, Eye of the Storm down the line, that's physical, Exorcism is physical, this is gonna hurt a lot.
Okay, we might be in for another pause, unfortunately, but we're going to see Tidehunter also die to the Death Prophet over the sidelines, and my goodness. Yeah, I have no idea what to expect here. The Dota 2 network is down, and we can't do anything about this, but yeah, Desolator and Klinks, I absolutely love it. It's a dirty amount of damage for this point in the game. And as a first item, I think it definitely has its merits. If you look at the Keeper of Light, he's going to be almost 2-shotted if he has Death backed up.
Oh, I certainly want to see that. Chomi is hunting for Solon, and Solon's desperately trying to hide, but there's no vision, and it doesn't matter, because Chomi is literally doing nothing but standing in the area and getting kills. It's now a 9-kill advantage for AlbumSheet. I don't believe this truly indicates, like, the level of play from Lion. Obviously, they have some network issues. Obviously, everyone has a couple of network issues in this game, but it's a little bit unfortunate that the first game of the tournament is plagued with issues.
Yeah, hopefully it's not a omen of things to come. But for now, AlbumSheet, they're going to be running this game, and I think that's going to maintain the case. As for Lions, they just need this anti-mage to get farm, and it's kind of the story for the rest of the game, but it's just getting so much harder for him. Although the Klinks can't really solo kill him very effectively because there's a blinker, maybe scratch that, I don't know, Aloha Dance might try. With Death packed up as well as with the Desolator, it's going to put a lot of hurt into Era, and just forcing him out of the jungle is hurt enough, I think. Let's see, Aloha Dance is currently still sitting in Viz and hasn't made an opening yet. Is going to find an angle, but decides against it as they're going to collapse onto the Tidehunter. Ravage committed on Sunlight, no fear, as well as Chomi. Ravage stolen, however, by Sunlight, going to be returned into kicks, and now with Aloha Dance and his Desolator, is going to rip to shreds the puck as well as the Tidehunter. 12-1, AlbumSheet take another convincing fight.
Man, I don't even know if you could call that a fight. That was just an absolute bloodbath. I mean, you should be able to get your anchor smash off even through lag. You just press the buttons in order and then, smash the buttons and then hopefully it'll work. But for whatever reason, Tidehunter didn't do that. Again, I'm going to attribute most of these small flaws in Lions' play not to poor play or poor skill or whatever. It's ridiculous delay and, man, not a good start.
It's really not. I'd love to remake or do anything, but we can't.
Yeah, the Dota network's not up. We don't have the luxuries of remaking.
I mean, it's bad for both sides. So, I mean, you have that going for us, I suppose.
But AlbumSheet didn't draft a puck, so they saw into the future. They know that they should pick up a lag-proof team, and they are, for the most part, fairly lag-proof. Maybe not the Clinks, but everyone else.
Yeah, and even the Clinks, at this point, he can just A-click the ground and kill everything. Oh, it looks like the Dota 2 network's actually up again, but at this point, I don't think remaking is going to change anything.
No, mine isn't up.
Okay.
We're not supposed to act as admins. We just cast these games. We should probably get an official admin on this.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask.
Man, I have like a 10-second delay between entering something in and actually seeing it. That's great.
Yeah, I don't know. We also don't have really much to talk about since this is the first game, and honestly, this game isn't really...
It's not even a real game. I mean,
yeah, you can't really count it. Oh dear. Thank you, Omicron.
What was it?
Okay, so the AlbumSheet owner just said to pray. Oh.
Well, everyone, let's hold hands and pray to Almighty Gaben.
Praise be.
That he absolve us from this ping. That our packets be safely delivered.
Oh, that everybody may get free hats in the next patch. Amen.
Oh, we're going apparently.
All right, carry on.
Okay.
Let's see how long it takes for me to get a ping from myself. Oh, hey, it's back down to 127, so I'm sure that will last for, a minute. But honestly, it's 19 minutes in with an 11 kill lead. This game kind of looks like it's almost over, or coming close to that. I mean, AlbumSheet, they don't have an X system for another 25. Once that comes up, they could, at the very least, take another objective without any sort of Lions contestment. Whether it's Roshan or a tier 2 or both. I mean, they could go for both if they want to. It's all just free pickings for them. They're going to shred Roshan. This is not even funny.
Yeah, it really isn't. Aloha Dance doesn't even pop this strafe, and already it's falling pretty low. And they don't have extra system to spend for this, but they don't need to. Anti-Mage does have his Battle Fury now, which is good news for Lions, and it's not a terrible timing, but considering the game that it's in, you're running up against a Midas Clinks that has almost double your net worth and now a double life. It's scary. Bloodstone picked up by Death Prophet, although usually I'm not the biggest of fans of this item on TP. This game, it definitely can work. Honestly, anything can work, but this is the game for a Bloodstone when you're already getting kills, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon. Clink's currently stalking inside the jungle, going to open up into Kicks. He is going to be able to destroy one of the attacks, but not all four. It is going to be Aloha Dance 3-shotting the enemy puck, and that shouldn't happen with Unorchid, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly very hard to deal with that through lag, and Clinks is doing just an absurd amount of damage. You could normally survive those types of things as Puck because you don't die in 3 hits, but this is one of those games where you, in fact, die in 3 hits, and there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, he could just get a short jump out and then maybe phase shift, but it's only level 1 shift. If it was level 4, he would definitely be able to live through that, but certainly that's not the case. They're going to go for Chomi down on bottom, but he's going to pop the Exorcism, and now everyone from Lions have got to book it. Earth Splitter's going to fly through, will not snap anyone back, and well, Chomi's Exorcism isn't really going to do that much except for force Lions away from this fight, which isn't really like a tangible lead or anything like that, but it's certainly doing its job and keeping Lions away from top lane, which is, I guess, where AlbumSheet really want to be right now.
Yeah, with Strafe as well as the Desolator, this tower is going to be ripped apart. Exorcism or not, they're going to be able to get the objectives. So, in a way, it's Exorcism for a tier 2 tower, as Lions just can't contest this.
Yeah, and Death Prophet is even putting more pressure down on bottom. Even though she doesn't have Exorcism, she will be able to make a pretty nice push, as AlbumSheet could honestly split push however they want. They will have to deal with Keeper of the Light, and this is where the pick kind of shows its value, although you ideally don't want to plan for it being in this part of the game. It will make pushing for AlbumSheet up to the high ground very difficult. Now they're going to go for Chomi down on bottom. He will snap the coil, taking quite a bit of damage from Ira. Needs a mana void, won't do jack because it's only a level 3 mana break. He only landed a couple hits as well. Here comes Aloha Dance, 3-shotting the anti-mage. That was 1,000 damage. What? Oh my god, this Clinks is just, that's disgusting. There are no words.
Yeah, this is Desolator on Clinks, friends. It's quite disgusting. Death Prophet also with a Bloodstone is going to pick up 2 charges for that, and one of the reasons why that Mana Void did literally nothing. Aloha Dance now has a Blink Dagger on top of his Desolator, and if he wasn't scary enough, now you can't be even a screen close to Aloha Dance if you're the likes of the Keeper of the Light. He'll try to spam out his Illuminates as much as possible. Tier 3 tower is almost already dead.
And there goes Tier 3 multicast onto Bland after that was an Ignite. So Tier 3, very dead. Aloha Dance not looking too healthy, but this is what Aegis is for. If they can even pop the Aegis. In the meantime, no fear. The solo support hero is just running interference for the Clinks as he just goes tower destruction mode. Tidehunter is here. They could Ravage and take out the Aegis. Actually, they won't even need that. Multicast onto Jodison Fan. And now here comes the Razor with a mech if things get really hairy. But Aloha Dance is going to start things off by taking a Ravage. This is going to be the death of the Clinks. Actually, no, they don't have any True Sight. That will let the Clinks slip away. And now Keeper of the Light and Jodison Fan both going to go down 17 for 1. Echo Stomp, as nice as it is, with a nice Mana Void, isn't really going to be doing enough. Actually, it's going to get a couple of kills for Lions. They take 3. They're going to chase forward, drop a coil onto No Fear. That's going to be 4. And Chomi, he's fast enough to escape. Lions, I suppose you could say that was a successful defense. Going to give them a crap ton of experience in gold, especially for the Anti-Mage and Puck, but it's just 40 seconds before that same exact push comes, and Rax is already down. So it came a little bit too late.
It's not a defense, but a 1 team fight for them. That's actually a ridiculous amount of gold if you look at it. That's a completed Yasha for the Anti-Mage. If he didn't have to buy that straight up, and he already was sitting on some gold already, so AM's going to be catching up to the likes of the Razor and Death Prophet, but still Clinks is pretty much a whole completed item and a half ahead of Era, as he now has a one-shot BKB. It's not going to buyback because of this, but it actually doesn't matter. Clinks is still scary as ever, and that's not going to happen a second time. If Clinks has a BKB, I don't think there's any way that Lions can deal with him. The Mana Void coming out there was huge for Lions, and it's a glimmer of hope for them. Maybe they're not completely out of this, but they need to combo together a beautiful team fight, and just hope that AlbumSheet don't press their items.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Clinks that just bought a Blink Dagger before the start of that fight, and at the end of it, had enough for BKB. This guy is absolutely loaded, and he is actually quickly approaching that 6-slot status. I mean, assuming he keeps the Blink Dagger, which he just purchased, he should. We're going to have a Quill Hand of Midas, and that's about it for the Clinks, which is terrifying to think about 20 minutes into the game. It's going to be really scary, and now an Aghanim Scepter up on Razor. I mean, the push was extremely strong before with just the Clinks. No Exorcism committed. Now they're going to try to go for Snipe on Ira. He does have a haste, however, he's going to get thrown up into the air. Aloha Dance is going to kill off Bland in the meantime. Set it with a Fire Blast. That will be the death of the ET. Ira will find a way out, and he will teleport to safety. But this time they have both Exorcism and Desolator and Eye of the Storm Aghanims to take down towers. This push is going to be coming a lot faster for AlbumSheet.
Fast and Furious, and honestly, I think they could just pop the BKB, pop the Strafe on Clinks, and he can focus down the buildings and not really care about any of the heroes. And with a fresh death packed up for Aloha Dance, he's hunting for blood, although he won't be able to find it just yet. Era, if he uses that blink, oh, that's not the neighborhood you want to be in. Strafe going to open up into the Anti-Mage, no blink available, blinks forward on the Clinks, and that's a dead Era. Oh, he did not know that Aloha Dance was on his tail, but indeed he was.
I mean, shit happens. It's kind of unfortunate. It's hard to prepare for. And now Quicks is going to be multicasted up. Hey, he will get bailed out by Bland's Earth Splitter. No, he won't. Fade Bolt. Fade Bolt comes out pretty quickly. And And just like that, it's going to be top lane and mid lane push. There goes one tier 3, actually, yeah. Death Prophet's actually going to lose the race versus the Clinks and Razor. So, in case anyone was wondering who pushes faster, it is in fact the Clinks Razor combo. Although, with Echo Stomp, Chomi's actually looking for kills instead. Stolen Silence up, we'll get Force Staffed out of there. Chomi even popping the BKB. I mean, honestly, that doesn't even matter because mid lane is pushing in, and yeah, that's GG. It's very unfortunate that we had this many lag problems, and we'll try to get that settled for game number 2, but honestly, don't know if there's much that we could do. Assuming the Dota network is up, which it is, we'll be getting into game 2. Hopefully, it won't have any problems.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully that there won't be any issues, but if there aren't, we'll have another game coming up shortly. I definitely think Lions can make a better showing, but even on ideal situations, I think AlbumSheet would have been favored this game. I don't think by any means it's just because of the lag that they lost, but it's definitely a very large contributing factor that we have no control over. That said, we're going to be getting into game number 2 fairly quickly, so don't go anywhere. We'll have it coming up onto the HeflaTV Hitbox channel number 2 very soon with Granted Speed and Mike Loris.